So if you think you can get a vehicle and produce a television series with one vehicle and go out into one of the last true frontiers, film it, produce it, do it all yourself, and maintain a full-time job and everything else that goes with life itself, come and see me, because I can't see how you can do it. And I get sick of my own company. It's good to have other people around. I'm from Tasmania, so 2 heads are better than 1, but 4 heads are better than 2. So, but this is our support vehicle that we've brought along. And this is a 2014 Defender Puma. And I was actually going to buy one of these 2 years ago when I came over to Kalgoorlie. As you can see on our last series, Seriously Series Heading West. If you haven't watched it, you don't know what you're missing out on. Get onto our Facebook page, get onto our YouTube channel, get onto our website, seriouslyseries.com.au. Watch it. If you want to keep seeing these videos, click on the donate button and please give what you can. Because we want to keep doing this. I love it, Damon loves it, we all love it, and we want to keep doing it. And we hope that you love it too. But anyway, I was going to buy one of these. And one of the reasons why I didn't is because we caught up with a family that we went off-road with for a few days. And the guy who owned it was Steve. Lovely bloke. And I was a little bit disappointed. The Land Rovers have always been a light vehicle. They've always had plenty of torque. They've always handled relatively well on sand and really quite good off-road. And I was just disappointed. It was heavy. You had to put your tyre pressures down below 20 psi, which I really don't like doing, because you do run the risk of rolling your tyre actually off the rim. And I was just thoroughly disappointed, and with all the technical glitches and problems with them. So I actually went and bought ex-Australian Army FFR 1989 Parenti, which I love. But this vehicle has really changed my mind on this trip. It still has its little foibles, it still has its little problems, but that makes it a Land Rover, not a Land Cruiser, so it actually has a heart and a soul. Whereas a Land Cruiser, you just drive it and you don't care. And I am talking a lot about Land Cruisers today, and it's not that I hate Land Cruisers, I drive them for work, but they just don't have as much heart and soul as I feel a Land Rover does. And I do own a Patrol, so I don't just own Land Rovers, so I'm not completely one-eyed. But yeah, it's changed my mind. It's really pushing the realm of the design of the vehicle, you could say. Compared to the Series 3, which you can fix it with a plucky attitude, a rag and a screwdriver, with this you need a little bit more clout. It has one computer on board, which isn't bad. The Disco 4 I believe has 4 or 5, that's one hand's worth. That's a lot. Too much for me. But this has one. It has traction control all round, it has a centre diff lock, it has a 6-speed Ford Mustang gearbox in it, which I was a bit like, doesn't sound quite right to me. It has a motor, a 2.2 litre diesel out of a Ford Transit van. Wasn't really sold on that either. And about the only thing it has left that's actually Land Rover is the transfer case, the rear diff and the front diff. So you're kind of getting half a Land Rover for $50,000. But, and there's a big but, it works. It works and it does a bloody fantastic job, I will give you that. The 6-speed gearbox is fantastic. It gets every little bit of torque and power out of the motor. And we've just towed a heavily laden Series 3 over some very, very soft sand dunes. And it did it fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It actually did it in high range. And that's impressive. It's probably not great for the vehicle, but it is impressive have to be impressed with that. You know, as I said before, there's a few little faults and problems with them, like the shaft that goes from the gearbox to the transfer case can go at any time, and that's a pretty big Achilles heels. But if it was such a problem, they would have recalled them all, and they haven't. This one here's done, I think, about 55,000 Ks, not a problem at all. And the reason being is our photographer and assistant cameraman Stevie, this is actually his personal car, and he is passionate about it, to put it mildly. Fanatical, yeah, that's probably closer to it, but he goes over everything, and due to that, that's why we've had no problems. He's kitted it out, but he hasn't gone over the top, and that's another reason too. People think the more stuff you can bolt onto the car, the better it is. You're wrong. You're wrong. I don't care. You are wrong. You add more weight. If you want to come out here and you want to have a shower, you want to have a little chemical toilet, you want to be able to, you know, keep clean, go get a Winnebago and go and see Ayers Rock. Go and do that, because you're just not gonna get far out here at all. What you need to be is you need to be light and you need to be simplistic. As Les Hidden said, refer to KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's exactly what you want to do. And that's what Stevie's done. So he's fitted an ARB awning, which are fantastic. I've never had one before, but now I wouldn't get a vehicle without one. It's bloody brilliant, especially out here in the harsh sun. It's fantastic. We've got one on the Series 3 too, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's obviously gone with Expedition Center 2, which is another one of our key sponsors, and he's put a front runner ladder on the back, which he wanted to go for ARB, but it was going to take a little bit too long, so he had to sadly jump ship and go towards front running, but that's been fantastic. It's got a full-length ARB roof rack, which hasn't moved an inch over all the corrugations that we've been over, which says a lot. In the past I've had roof racks which we've hit the anchors on corrugations and it's slid right off, and as I said, this one hasn't moved an inch. Just move around this side of the car. We've obviously got the ARB snatch straps which we used last night, which I've always had TJM. My uncle worked for TJM for a while, and it's just the company I went with, and I've never had a problem with any of their gear. I have had a bit of ARB stuff in the past, never had a problem, and once again, never had a problem again. Getting back to kitting out the vehicle, and why I say bolting on any kind of stuff is bad, is it's about the key reason getting out here and getting to these remote areas is bringing not every bit of kit known to man, but bringing the right bit of kit. And bringing the right bit of kit that you're going to use and that you can maximize its use of to get yourself out of trouble. And that's where people go wrong. So the snatch strap is a prime example of that. It wasn't long enough last night, so we joined two of them together, which can be a bit sketchy. So we put a bridle or a winch cable dampener strap on both of them, and we made sure everyone was out of the way. But they handled superbly. Brilliant bit of kit. If you're going off-road and you're just starting to go off-road, the most important thing you can get is a decent pair of shackles that are rated correctly for your vehicle. Don't get a Suzuki Sierra or a Suzuki Jimmy and put a 10,000 kilo shackle on it and then a 1 ton snatch strap, because what's going to go first? Your snatch strap. Think about it. What do you want to go first? Very important. Obviously, Expedition Center again, we've got two 4.5 kilo gas bottles, one on this vehicle, one on the Series 3. We've got my old faithful TJM high lift jack, which I've had for 10 years, and it's come once again back from the dead. Stevie's been able to engineer and machine a clearance pin which fell out, and he's popped it in, and we've used it numerous times to fix the suspension up on the Series 3 and a few other things along the way. So great bit of kit. Obviously the mount that it's on is from the Expedition Centre too, which Daniel there was able to give us a few different options of how we could fit it to this vehicle, which is a bit more difficult than the Series 3, where you can just get a drill and just start drilling holes and bolt it on anywhere you like. So coming around this side of the vehicle, it's been a bit controversial, but we've kept with the original Continental Tires that it came out with. And a lot of people are watching now going, you're crazy. Well, I just took a Series 3 up the canning, so what else is new? Not much. But people walk up this and people take solar powered bikes, so I'm pretty sane, I think. There's even a guy called Racklin who took a trolley up here. Not once, but twice. But the reason why people don't like these tyres is because of the sidewalls. Well, Stevie's proved it wrong. The sidewalls are thin on these, I will give you that, but it's how you drive the vehicle. If you're going to drive over razor sharp rocks all the time, what do? You stop, you think, you act. That's what you do. I don't care what kind of tyres you have. If you have MRFs, which are an Indian brand, which have 18 ply, and you'll never ever get a puncture, but they give you a ride like a bat out of hell. The weakest point on them, like any tyre, is your sidewall. So what you do, if you're going over hard rocky terrain, is you pump your tyres up and you make sure you don't have this bulge on the bottom. Because if you have that bulge, that's where the rock or the stick's going to go through. So that's what Stevie's done. We've stopped, we've pumped up the tyres where we needed to, and we've got them through. So it just goes to show it's about maximising the bit of kit that you've actually got. And they've got us this far and they've done a fantastic job. They're getting on their last legs, so for the next series we'll probably look at fitting it out potentially with some Toyos, or we'll probably fit it out with another brand so we can give you guys a better comparison. And that's something that we wanted to do here. We didn't want to just fit the vehicles out purely with one company and purely with one sponsor. We wanted to give you guys the best, and we wanted to sort of see what each sponsor and what each company's sort of speciality is. So when it comes to fitting out your vehicle, you're going to get the best out of it, and that's really what you want. One of the things we've fitted to, due to the long range that we've had to go for, which is 1800 kilometers with no chance of filling up, we haven't come across a town since Walloona, is long range tanks. And I've explained this in a previous video with the Series 3. The Puma is no different. We fitted a sealed tank that sits underneath here, which gives, I think, close to 70 litres. And with that and the 70 litre tank in there, we've got 140 litres. And that gives this vehicle round about just over close to 1,000 kilometre range. We've also fitted it out with front runner jerry can holders, once again from the Expedition Centre. We've also fitted it out with handheld Icom radios, and I'll just talk a little bit about that. If you're going to go out in the bush, if you're going to go out with your mates and you're going to have a fun time out there, get yourself a handheld radio. You can get away without it. I did for years. Now I've got one, wouldn't do it any other way. Especially last night, where we had two vehicles, we had a heck of a lot of tension on those straps, and I'm in the vehicle behind and I'm leading this expedition. I want to know exactly where every single person is, because if that shackle goes, and this happened to a mate of mine, shackle went, there was a guy standing nearby with a beer in his hand. It's an Australian thing we do. Shackle went off. Where did it hit him? Hit him in his kneecap, blew his kneecap out. 10 hours going through some of the roughest terrain in Tassie, and this terrain here is nothing compared to there. to get to the nearest hospital. Now, you couldn't call the Royal Flying Doctors or anything like that because there's no runways. There's no flat bit of land in Tassie at all. If you get a flat bit of land in Tassie, you're a millionaire. So really, really important to know where everyone is. And that Icom do a really good handheld radio, up to 5 watts, so it's got a fantastic range. So really important to have that, and I'd really recommend getting them. They've been great on the trip. We've had it where people have just wanted to go off for a walk, not for 10Ks, just a walk for the evening, and we've said take a radio, keep in contact. So it's really important. People get lost out here on the Canning, at least half a dozen each year. There was a guy a couple months ago who left a car like this, completely kitted out. He walked 5Ks, got lost, and he ended up burying himself in the sand. Why? I don't know. You know, they say to stay with your vehicle and drink fluids. They don't even specify what kind of fluid, so it could be whatever you want. It could be the fermented variety. Doesn't matter, as long as you're hydrated. Inside the vehicle, Stevie's obviously got the lived-in look too, but Stevie's profession is an aviation engineer. So he's very, very particular about his wiring, and he's rewired the Series 3 and he's done an impeccable job. And this vehicle is no different. He's fitted it out with an Alpine stereo system, which means he can even watch a movie, but he's been driving so he can't, because that's multitasking and men can't do that. So he's fitted out with that. He hasn't got an Icom radio in this one, he's got a Unidel, and that's performed okay too. Very good. He's also fitted it out with a dual battery system, which he's been able to sneak in under the passenger seat, which is a very difficult act to do. And he's done a really good job. I think that one's 125 amp hour. So he's done that, and that's worked really well. We haven't got an ARB fridge in the back either. We've gone for it evades my mind what it is, but it's 65 litres, and it's the same fridge that the Australian Army uses. Another thing that we've kitted out this vehicle with too, due to the sort of the telltales that we hear about the Continental Tires, is another sponsor of ours called Tyre Pliers Engineering, and they are another bit of kit that I would say if you haven't got one, get it, and when you get it for life. They're all made, they're all handmade, all machined by hand, and basically they'll fix anything from a nail going through the top of the tyre to a sidewall split to cut across the top. You can change your actual tyres with the bead breaker, and they're used by the Australian Army. They're used heavily in America, and that for me says a lot. If you're on the front line and you're getting shot at and you've got to use a kit and it works, that's a kit you need to have. And I can tell you, I've seen what they use the Australian Army Land Rovers for, the Parentis, and bloody oath, it's impressive. So they are a really fantastic kit. And we've come across one traveller along the way here, and he had a Blitz, which is a rent-a-car company here, and he had no oil, no water, no coolant, no spares, no tools, no recovery kit, no tyre repair kit. Now, because I'm a good bloke and I like to think if I help out someone else, they might return the favour, or if I'm in a bad situation, it'd be nice if someone helped me out too. So, you know, treat thy neighbour like thyself. So I fixed it for him. But absolute idiot. If you're coming out here without a puncture repair kit, you're an idiot. You're absolute idiot. They only cost $50 or a little bit more from Tyre Pliers, or you can get a cheap one from Super Cheap. As long as it holds the air in, it doesn't matter. But Tyre Plier Engineering, very, very, very important bit of kit to get. And they're a great company, family run. They've been doing it for 30 years. So if you think you know everything about tyres, you're wrong. They do. You've got to get in touch with them. So we've done the interior of the vehicle. To the front of the vehicle, we've fitted this one out with a Safari Snorkel. which have been around since day dot. We've fitted it out obviously with a mesh over the front. The reason why we've done that is due to spin effect seeds. If you haven't noticed, it's wildflower season here. We've had a little bit of rain, but we're in an arid region, which an arid region means that you get less than 300 millimeters of rain a year. And so it doesn't take a lot of moisture to push up the daisies. And that brings along seeds, and they'll clog up your air intake system. Obviously we've got a thing out here called bull dust, which is the finest of dust. And it doesn't matter what you have, it's going to get in it. And if you've got an automatic, it'll get in your gearbox, so don't bring an automatic out here. The other thing we've gone for is an Arp Bullbar. And really, I have to say it, and I'm not being biased, and because they're a sponsor of ours, I've had aluminium bull bars in the past, I've had steel, I've had them all. These are by far the best. They're the thickest of steel out there on the market. They're tough as nails, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. The quality of the welds are fantastic. They're not bird shit like a lot of bad welds. I've seen some of the cheaper ones, and I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. I had an Iron Man one at work that I got a Land Cruiser out of a bog in, and I bent it with a high left jack. So that says a lot about that. But these are a fantastic bull bar. They are expensive, but a rich man buys his tools once. So remember that saying. We haven't gone for the ARB intensity lights here, we've gone for the Light Force. They're a bit of an older design by today's standards, but they're still a very good light, and easy to service, easy to fix, easy to get the globes for. So really good bit of kit. So overall, as a support vehicle, this has done a fantastic job. They've got a really bad rap by a lot of people, but on our next trip, we'll go through the vehicle from top to bottom, which you should do whenever you go off on a trip. Don't just trust the recommendation from your mechanic, no matter how good they are. Your own peace of mind is the most important thing. If you're not comfortable with the vehicle, don't take it out. Do not take it out. You have to be comfortable with it. Another little tip on that, and I won't keep you too much longer, is before Stevie came out here, he said, "Oh, I've got a digital copy of the workshop manual." That's great, because I can just go get my PowerPoint and plug it into that tree over there. It's useless. He said, "Oh, I've got HEMA maps on my phone." I go, "I've got HEMA map on my phone too. It's a great little app." But once again, I can't get my PowerPoint and plug it into a rock. I'm a geologist, but I can find gold, I can find platinum and most minerals, but I can't find electricity out of a rock, can I? No, I can't work miracles. If you're coming out here, the most important thing you can do is bring a pen, a bit of paper, and print out your workshop manual, right? You kill a couple trees, that's fine, but you stay alive. Print it out, put it in a book, a binder, whatever you want. Make sure it's safe. That's the only thing that's got that Series 3 out of trouble. And wherever I go, I always have a workshop manual. And if you don't know much about mechanics, that's fine. That's okay. Read it. It'll teach you the basics of what you need to do. People nowadays don't even know how to check the oil on a car. Trust me, I worked at a service station for 4 years. I had to explain to people what the bottom of the dipstick was and the top of the dipstick was, and the difference between it, which if you don't know is a litre. Very, very, very important. So make sure you get your workshop manual. In the front of it, it will tell you all the tools you need in order to fix your vehicle. If you don't know, have a good comprehensive toolkit. And I've met people who don't know, they've had a good toolkit, we've been able to fix it and get it out of trouble. So do that, because you'll always find someone who is willing to help you out. So do that. So Stevie did that. It was a very, very good move, and we've been able to refer to it. So if you are going to do the canning, if you are going to get out into this part of the world, please take this video on as just a bit of advice. I'm not saying take it as, you know, as the Bible, take it as gold, make of it what you want. But this is just my opinion of what you need to do. It's what I've found has worked for me over the past decade, and hopefully what will keep serving me well into the future. And if you get people out here and they say that they're an expert, then they're lying, because you can't know everything about this landscape out here, and you can't know everything about this country. I've met people who've been traveling this country for 30 years and they still don't know every single crevice and how to survive and how to make the most out of it. But that's what keeps bringing me back, and that's what keeps bringing you back, and so many other people. But you need to have a properly kitted out vehicle, and you need to know what to do with it. And that's where it comes back to the series that we're looking at and what we're producing. It's not about fancy bits of kit, bucket loads of cash. It's about knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to survive. So you got to get a book, you got to read, you got to watch YouTube, you got to do whatever research you can, and that's what I did. I spent 2 years reading every single book I could on this part of the world and adapting my own skills that I learnt back home to survive here. So you need to do it, and if you don't do it, you're going to get caught out. But best of luck to you, and look, leave a comment below, and more than willing to help out where we can. And obviously if you've got any suggestions and that, feel free to do so, because as I say, I'm never an expert. I know what I know and I do what I claim, but I can always learn something new too.